Good evening, and welcome to Doc Moore's collection of horror stories, Doc Moore's Midnight Horror Stories. Tonight's chilling episode, nightmares come alive, and shadows dance in the corners of your mind. Join Doc Moore as he guides you through terrifying stories from listeners that will leave you shocked and frightened. Here's your host, Dr. Moore. Good evening. I'm Stephen B. Moore, Doc Moore. We'll explore tales of the supernatural, ghosts, evil spirits, and otherworldly occurrences. Please click the subscribe button so I can continue to bring you stories that frighten and shock you. I'm bringing these stories based on interviews, first-hand accounts from people just like you who've experienced paranormal events. Let's get to this story. This story comes from Charlie from Chicago, Illinois. I let Charlie know I was doing research on ghosts and evil spirits. Charlie said he had something to say, and he called this interview The Cursed Werewolf King of Babylon. I usually don't talk about being scared. I'm a veteran of Afghanistan and Iraq wars. Now, I've seen some bad stuff, but nothing compares to that thing that came out from behind the wall. I just got out of the Marines. I saw in the papers that this company was hiring folks for night security work. Nighttime security work. An industrial section of Chicago's night shift. Just walk around and secure doors and windows. Easy money. The HR lady that hired me asked me if I was spooked easily. Hell, I told her I was in the Marines. I fought wars. I ain't scared of nothing. Little did I know that would change. I took the job and showed up for my assigned duty that night, which happened to be on Friday the 13th. Lucky me. I was assigned to work on the top floor. I got my briefing from the night supervisor. He gave me a baton, a radio, and keys. He said, and he stressed this, he said to make sure to check in every hour on the dot. No exception. He repeated his instructions. He walked me to the elevator. I wondered why he kept saying the same thing over and over and over again. But no matter what, this was a job. So I got an elevator, punched the floor 12, and off I went. The elevator door opened into a large warehouse. I was being a warehouse on that floor from midnight to 6 a.m. I would be on that floor in the warehouse till early morning. The morning crew would come in and take possession of the keys and start working in the warehouse. But until then, I was all alone from midnight to 6 a.m. Now, this warehouse was not well lit. It was, I guess, not well lit to save money. A few lights were on. Some were dimmed. The rest were off. And everything was on timers. However, I had a key to override some of the timers. One of the lights was near my workstation, in the back of the warehouse. This is where I had a desk, a chair, a computer, a desk phone, and a radio with charger. So after I checked the warehouse, I went back to the little office. I kicked back and began to surf the internet. And then it started. It started with scraping sounds, scratching sounds. Sounds like I just ignored it. I wrote it off as the building shifting. Only the sounds started getting louder. And there was also a lot of movement coming from the back area where those crates were. I was getting kind of antsy, so I grabbed my flashlight, my baton, and my radio. I left the office, and I shone the light in the direction from where I was hearing movement. I called out to see if someone was back there, if they needed help or they needed direction. Nothing came back, just creepy dragging sounds that was coming from further back in the dark of the warehouse towards me. I shined my flashlight in the direction where I was hearing movement. As I swept my flashlight back and forth, the beam hit on a figure standing in the middle of the floor. I took my keys and cut on some of the lights. And there I saw him. It looked like a large man with a lot of fur on him, like he was wearing a Halloween costume or a big fur coat. And that large man was watching me from the dark. And what I noticed was, this large man, this guy, had red glowing eyes. But I did what the Marines taught me. I took the initiative. I stepped forward toward him, and I raised my baton. I told him he had to go. But that large furry man did something strange. He did the same thing that I did. He stepped toward me. He stepped forward, and it growled. I heard that furry man growl like an animal, and he looked like he was getting ready to attack. I moved forward. I raised my baton, and I made a downward strike. I made contact. That large man took that blow and struck back. But now, with his fists, I felt claws on my face and on my arm. I felt the flesh of my arm tear, the claws ripping my skin. I swung my baton up and down against that thing's head. That large man with the animal sounds and red eyes scratched me, and he started growling loudly, and it started snarling. I fell, blood run down my bicep, but I still kept fighting, kicking, and I broke that baton against his head. And then I hit him with my keys and the radio. We battled in the warehouse in the dark, rolling over, fighting, scratching, punching. And that thing stank. I smelled that large creature's breath in my face, and it stank like death. I smelled that smell before in Iraq and Afghanistan battlefields. I knew I had to fight for my life. Suddenly the door opened. My supervisor and two of the guards entered the warehouse with their batons. They shined their flashlights on us. They saw me struggling with a large man with fur on him, with red eyes, and we were rolling back and forth on the floor. They ran over and struck that large man. They hit him with their batons. They kicked him. It didn't seem like it was affecting him at all. One of the guards grabbed the thing from behind, and we all pushed and started to yell. The man that grabbed it from behind said, "Jesus, help us, give us the strength. God, help us. God, save us." The thing threw that man off his back. He turned and growled and howled and crawled backwards. when he heard the word God. That thing crawled up the wall and dropped down behind a bunch of pallets. The supervisor, the 2 guards, and me. Another guard joined us. There was 4 of us now. We shined our lights in the darkness, looking behind the pallets. The only thing against the wall was a skeleton, and that skeleton had bloody fingers. Or I should say, bloody, claw-like fingers. My supervisor called the police and emergency medical personnel. The cops and emergency medical people arrived. Cops searched the warehouse from top to bottom, but they didn't find anyone. They only found the skeleton with blood behind the pallets, and that's just what we told them. I ended up going to the hospital. The doctor said it looked like a large dog. Could have been a rabid dog that attacked me. The doctor released me the next day. But before he released me, he gave me medications and a series of rabies shots. Needless to say, I spent the next couple weeks recovering at home. I heard a knock on my door. It was my supervisor. He came by to see how I was doing. I told him the same thing I told the cops. He looked at me and said, "I got something to tell you." And he told me, "Don't tell nobody what I'm telling you now." The supervisor said the company we worked for imported stuff from all around the world. Imported stuff from around the world. Stuff that was found in archaeological digs and deserts and caves. And what they recently took possession of was a weird coffin-like box. Now, they sent that box to scholars over at Chicago University to translate some of the text on the box. It didn't make sense. According to these ancient history scholars, the coffin was brought from an area in Iraq that was formerly known as Babylon. And that box or coffin, that coffin was the final resting place of a king. This king was supposedly killed by his own men, killed by his military leaders because he was cursed by God. The king became a werewolf like in the Bible, only this king killed his own people. So his military leaders were pushed to assassinate him, and after a tough, hard-fight battle, they did just that. They put his remains in the box and buried it deep in the desert. Centuries later, during the Iraq War, bombs blew up that palace, that mansion, and the lands all around it. The box was exposed, dug up, and sent to a warehouse after the war was over, and the Iraqi leaders lent scientists and archaeologists into these war-torn areas. It seemed like something was released, and it released that creature in the box, and it came out. My supervisor leaned forward and said this: "There were 2 other guards before you worked there. Both of those guards were killed in the warehouse in the exact same place that you were. You are the only person, the only one that survived that attack." Like I said, I wasn't afraid before, but now I am. Evil spirits, yeah, I believe in that. Werewolves, I believe in that too. I always keep my gun on me. And the funny thing is, my wife had silver bullets made for me. I keep 2 full clips of silver bullets. And my gun is always loaded with silver bullets. I keep 2 pit bulls in my home, ready at my side. When my wife and I are home, we are both armed. But even the dogs and my guns, with them I keep looking over my shoulders at night. That was a story from Charlie. One wild story. That guy, that Marine, the story he told me, when I was interviewing him, I could tell something really bothered him. Something had happened to him that night, and that was a paranormal experience that no one ever should have gone through. And Charlie told me, after that night, he quit that job, and about 3 weeks later, he got a new job, and it wasn't working at night, and it wasn't working in no warehouse. He became a police officer in Chicago. This story about a werewolf in a warehouse. This interview I did with Charlie reminded me about a story of the Bible about King Nebuchadnezzar. Unlike the king that was killed and put in a coffin, Nebuchadnezzar was turned into, you could say, a werewolf. And he was cast out of his palace. It brings to mind Daniel chapter 4 verses 1 through 31. Daniel was described as having a form of insanity called lycanthropy, where a person acts like a wolf. He acted like a wolf in the Bible. It said that he grew fur and he was cast out among the wild beasts for 7 years. And then he regained his consciousness and his human form when he prayed to God for forgiveness. But what Charlie was talking about, it just reminded me of this chapter in the Bible, Daniel. In this show, Doc Moore's Midnight Horror Stories YouTube channel, I'll have more excerpts from my literature, from my book, compiled of interviews and fiction that I write. And that book is called Doc Moore's Collection of Horror Stories. That's available at YouTube, and it's also available at Amazon. And these are stories of the supernatural, paranormal, and the macabre from around the world. I also include stories, interviews, and discussions that I collect from my work with the Detroit Black Ghost Hunters and the Detroit Black Paranormal Investigators. I have more stories coming from that research as well. And one more thing. I do literature searches and literature reviews, including the Bible and other books. And that shows you the type of connection to each interview and story. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. You're watching Doc Moore's Midnight Horror Stories YouTube channel. Make sure you press the subscribe button, click on likes, share with your friends. And I can continue to bring you these stories that frighten and shock you. Thank you very much for watching. Is it real? Is it true? Are the sounds you hear at night? Are there something coming for you in the dark? You be the judge. From Doc Moore's Midnight Horror Stories, I'm your host, Stephen B. Doc Moore. Until the next show, good night. This has been Doc Moore's Midnight Horror Stories YouTube channel. Doc Moore's Midnight Horror Stories YouTube channel is sponsored by Caselet.com. Caselet.com. Design your unique and very affordable phone case with AI. Create your own stunning, one-of-a-kind phone case design using the power of artificial intelligence AI. From abstract art to nature scenes, Caselet offers a wide variety of Apple, Samsung, and Google phone cases. Caselet.com brings your vision to life. Doc Moore got his, I got mine. Get yours. ShopCaselet.com. That's CASELYT. Caselet.com. Join us next time for Doc Moore's Midnight Horror Stories YouTube channel. Send your comments, criticisms, questions, and more to Doc Moore's Midnight Horror Stories YouTube channel. Subscribe and follow and like Doc Moore on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Doc Moore's collection of horror stories is available in ebook, paperback, and hardcover at www.amazon.com/Doc Moore's Collection Horror Stories. Check out Doc Moore and the Moore Haunted Band on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Apple Music, Amazon, YouTube, Pandora, and other streaming platforms. Audio and video production created by Stephen B. Doc Moore Sr. Music produced, performed, arranged, and recorded by Doc Moore and the Moore Haunted Band at the Doc Moore Recording Studio, Oahu, Hawaii. All content created, recorded, produced, and published under copyright by Stephen B. Doc Moore Sr., Ph.D., Media Productions, LLC.